Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, this evening I'm going to be evaluating David, our own David Makela. You're in for a treat. David's going to be presenting a speech from the Advanced Communication series. This is project number 1, Conversation with Ease. It's a 10 to 13 minute speech made of 3 parts. First one is presentation, there will be a role play, and finally a discussion. The main objective tonight is maintain rhythm. David is really interested in his rhythm, but in terms of the overall project here, we're learning how to use effective techniques for communication with strangers, different levels of conversation with a stranger, and ways to solicit information. So tonight, David Makela. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Now we will hear from our third speaker, David. His title is One Person a Day. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. You illuminate the room, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you for the introduction. How do you feel when you walk into a room full of strangers? Are you comfortable? Or are you anxiously scanning the crowd for a familiar face? Do you tremble at the thought of trying to make conversation with people you don't know? Do you think others will find you dull? Do you avoid going to parties or other gatherings just to escape these unpleasant feelings? Ladies and gentlemen, conversation is the most important part of connecting with people. Talking with someone else, it stimulates us. It provides new ideas, and it enables us to explore ideas we already have. It fulfills a basic human need, human contact. Every friendship that has enriched our lives, it began with a conversation. Conversation, it also plays an important role in our success in life and in business. You see, successful people, they usually share a common characteristic. They can carry on a conversation with just about anybody. Within a few minutes, you can have this successful conversation with people that put them at ease. And what that happens is sometimes if people don't engage right away, we hesitate. Why do we hesitate? Well, remember when you first joined Toastmasters, those of you who are members, you had to give your first speech. It was an icebreaker speech. Remember that one? Remember that first speech. If you were like me, you were a little nervous, your voice was chattering a little bit. And that's such nervousness, it's natural. After all, you were taking a risk in speaking about yourself to a room full of strangers. What if you said something or did something that was embarrassing? What if they didn't like you? These strangers had a great deal of power over you. Their reactions to your speech, they had a great impact on how you felt about yourself. This same feeling applies when you meet someone new. You want to make a good first impression. But in doing so, you have to make yourself vulnerable. Shabnam is someone in our club who does this extremely well. I've learned a lot from you, Shabnam. Talking with another person opens up the possibility of disclosing something about yourself, being emotionally vulnerable. And that possibility exists that the other person may not respond positively. Well, what can you do to give yourself an advantage when striking up a conversation? Well, skillful conversationalists know several ways to prepare for that initial encounter. But first it's important to understand the different levels on which everyone communicates. There's 4 of them that I have identified. Number 1, level 1 is the small talk. It's your typical, hey, nice weather, beautiful sunset. It's very safe. That's level 1. Level 2, it's fact disclosure. If phase 1 goes well, you may step into level 2 and you start asking questions about that person, where they're from, what's your hobbies, what's your occupation, what do you do for work. At this level, you usually find something that you have in common. You're looking for that common ground. Level 3, it's viewpoints and opinions, a little more risk. If you still feel positively from level 1, 2, then you're talking about maybe your worldview, your spiritual, religious views, maybe talk about politics. I don't know. We were taught, don't mix religion and politics, but there's a lot of conversations right now about religion and politics. If any of you watch The Voice, I think this is the first time that the winner of The Voice was a pastor. Who would have thought that a pastor would be of a church be singing on The Voice? Shouldn't he be pastor in a church? What's he doing singing out on The Voice? Anyway, that's level 3. Level 4, personal feelings. This is the deeper connection where you start speaking about things about yourself that reveal more about yourself. So those are the 4 levels. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to demonstrate what it's like to talk with a stranger. As many of you know, I had a project a few years ago when I went out and met one person a day for 365 days in a row. I'd walk up to a stranger and I would have a conversation. So I'm taking a bit of a risk here. I was going to do this with Todd because I haven't had a chance to really get to know Todd well. I'm going to do that. But since we have some guests here, I would like to ask one of our guests if they would like me to be the person that I first met. And this is, let me set the scene. We just met. We're standing on Main Beach. We're overlooking the ocean. The sun has just set. And I've just walked up to you. So I'm going to ask if Mary or Natalie would be open to me having a conversation with you. Mary, would you be open for a 2 to 3 minute conversation?
Of course, but only if Natalie doesn't want to do it.
I'm not hearing anything from Natalie right there. Okay, so Mary, we just met. What a beautiful sunset.
Yes, it's really lovely.
Mary, do you come here often to Main Beach to watch the sunset?
Whenever I get a chance, I try to get down and have a look at it, although it doesn't happen as often as I'd like.
If you wouldn't mind, Mary, I'd like to spend a couple minutes with you and just get to know you a little bit. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
I'm curious, Mary, as we're watching this beautiful sunset, how would you describe this day today in your life in one word?
Today,
right here, right now, as we're watching this beautiful sunset, what's the word that describes the feeling right now?
the feeling right now.
Yes.
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Mm-hmm. I love that. Mary, if I can ask you another question, I'm curious. You know, you seem like a lovely lady and you seem to be at peace.
No. You said this moment.
If you can change one thing in the world, what would you change?
Oh, funny. It's, interesting. One thing in the world, if I could change, I guess right now in the middle of this pandemic, I would make a vaccine available. You know, when I was 10, the answer to that question was world peace, which is just funny. But right now, I think if we all had a little less danger floating around, it would be better. Great.
When you find a vaccine, please let us all know, because that would change the world. The 10-year-old self in you would be really excited about that.
True that. Mm-hmm.
If I could just ask you a couple more questions. I really appreciate your time and allowing me to get to know a little bit about you. But I have another question. If you and I saw each other here 1 year from today, what would be different in your life?
Mm-hmm. 1 year from today, I would hope that I would have had many conversations like this. I'm finding these questions very interesting, and I'd like to imagine using them and getting, having more opportunity to talk to people in that way.
I love that. I would love to hear you ask me those questions one day.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Let's
you if
go
I get
for
to
a
ask
coffee
questions.
And I will reciprocate and answer those questions. Here's the last question. This is a fun one. If your life were a movie and we were to write a story about it, and then we would make this movie poster with you as a star and a title of that movie, what would the story of your life be about? What would the title of your movie be?
I think the title of my movie would be She Tried. And I think that the story is just that constant learning interest thing. It's about finding something and trying to learn about it, and finding something and trying to learn about it. Whether that's people or information or anything else.
You sound like a lifelong learner.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure there's a lot we could all learn from you, and I look forward to one day having coffee or lunch to learn about you. So thank you so much, Mary, for allowing me to talk to you as a stranger, but we are no longer strangers, and that's my assumption. In the last, minute and a half, this is the third part of my speech where I get to ask you for some feedback. How did that feel? Well, I'm not going to put words into your mouth. You met me as a stranger on the beach. What was that experience like for you?
It was fascinating. I thought those were really interesting questions and caused me to think about a lot of stuff in a very short period of time, which was way more interesting than talking about the weather.
We started with a sunset, but we got pretty deep pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Would you recommend I do anything different when I meet a stranger? If so, what would that be?
The only thing that I wasn't sure about, and I don't know, is would some invitation for the other person to ask those questions as well? Do you know what I mean? Like less, and that may be this setting, I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm going to take that because in my experience of meeting 365 people, that conversation would shift. So it's not just a monologue, it's more of a dialogue.
Yeah.
So thank you for the feedback. Thank you for participating. Please give it up for Mary participating. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. That was awesome. Okay, now we will have the timer's report.